What's going on, brews? Are you like me? And it doesn't matter if you got a 3-pack blister, a booster bundle, an ETB, basically any selection of packs from like 2 packs to like 20 packs. Over the last 2 years, all I say in those scenarios is, please just let me pull an illustration rare. I don't even ask for SIRs. All I ever ask for is just let me pull one singular illustration rare, please. Okay? So if you're like me, you love illustration rares, this video is for you. I have prepared not one, but 2 whole slides. On these 2 slides, I'm going to show you real quick. So basically, here's one. There's the other one. Okay, back to me. Okay, so basically, these 2 slides, we're going to look at illustration rares on a set-by-set basis, and we're going to answer a bunch of random little nerdy questions you didn't even know you were wondering about illustration rares. So basically, 1, if you were to take all the top 10 most expensive illustration rares from every set, not all of them, but just top 10, because they all have at least 10, at least that we're looking at. We're looking at 9 different sets. We will not be looking at Paldean Fates, and obviously Prismatic Evolutions for obvious reasons. The other sets that actually have IRs in more than 3, which one of them have the 10 most valuable illustration rares, and why? And then on top of that, which sets have the least valuable illustration rares? We're just gonna deep dive and look at, like, if you just want to open 2 packs, right? 2 blister packs for $5. Maybe you caught a restock, maybe you found some packs available online, and you're only gonna pay $4.50, $5, $6, because we're not talking like Prismatic or $151, maybe, you know. Which set would be the best to open to get lucky off 1 or 2 pack magic and pull an IR that's actually worth something? There are sets where a majority of the IRs aren't worth very much, and then there are sets where a majority of the IRs are worth quite a lot. So by the end of today's video, you're going to have all that figured out, and you're just going to be a slightly smarter illustration rare dude or gal by the end of this video. Alright, let's get to it. So first of all, let's go to the top 10 illustration rare value per set. So as you can see here, we got Paldea Vault number 1, SV151 number 2, Paradox Rift number 3, and downwards. So what are some things you can kind of draw just from this top 9 list right here? And again, this is the top 10 most valuable from each of their set. This is each set's 10 best IRs. When you add them all up, how much are they worth? Paldea Evolved number 1, 151 number 2, Paradox number 3. Now, a couple things I am noticing here that we'll get to in a second. One of those is the 3 most recent sets have the 3 least valuable illustration rare galleries, whereas some of the oldest sets, Paldea, Paradox, which are also very large, the only 2 large Scarlet and Violet era sets, are way up there at $500 and $300. Scarlet and Violet 151, right there in the middle, that's just the power of Kanto. Alright, so we'll talk more about this list and some other conclusions that I have drawn from this little list right here in just a second. Now, let's go over here. Okay, so I just threw this together about an hour ago and make myself disappear for a second. Alright, so as you can see here at the top, you have set totals or set total IRs per. So we have SV base, and it's going in order. SV base has 24 IRs and blah blah blah. You can kind of figure out the rest from there. So I broke all the illustration rares basically by value into tier lists. As you can see at the top column, S tier is literally the top 3 most valuable IRs from the era. A tier is going to be $40 to $75 IRs. I guess I can come back until I'm done here. Okay, hey, it's me again. B tier is 20 to 40. C tier is $10 to $20 illustration rares. D tier, of course, 5 to 10. And then F tier, you almost never see F tier. F tier is illustration rares that are under $5. Okay, I'm going away again. All right, so let's just start off, and we're going to work our way down really quick. So SV base, you can see there is not a top 3. There is 1 A tier card. We all know it's Drowsy. There are 4 total illustration rares that are between $20 and $40. There are 7 and 11 C, D, 1, F. Bang. You will notice on this graph that some of these numbers are more bold than others. If the number is bold, that means I want to draw your eyes to it because it is a notable number. So Paldea Evolved has one S tier. We all know what that is. It's a $375 Magikarp, the #1 most valuable illustration rare in the entire era, as we know. I'll tell you what. Yeah. Feels weird that I'm not on screen right now. Okay, so Paldea Evolved. Let's go down to number 2, because you see there are 3 illustration rares. Obviously, Magikarp, Raichu, T-Tar, right? That are all 3 above $40. That's impressive. It's not the most impressive, but it's pretty good. The B tier, though, exclamation point, extra bold. Same with C tier. Look at that. We have a total of 21 cards in Paldea that are above $10, including 7 that are above the $20 mark, okay? And even D tier, we have 12. 0 Big Fat Goose Egg for $5 and under. Obsidian Flames, only 12 illustration rares. You know, that's kind of what you might expect for Obsidian Flames right there. And in fact, the fact that Obsidian Flames even has 2 B tier illustration rares, I think is very good considering how tiny that set is. Scarlet and Violet 151. This is very cut and dry. There is 5 A tiers, 5 B tiers, 6 C tiers, nothing else. There is nothing insanely expensive. There is nothing insanely cheap, but there is 16 total cards, aka the entire illustration rare gallery for 151 is between $10 and $75. So no matter what, if you pull an IR, you're gonna get at least a $10 or $11 IR no matter what for 151. That is the only set on this board that can say that every single illustration rare is worth more than $10. Okay, now we get down to Paradox Rift. We have 34 illustration rares. That's obviously only 2 less than Paldea. We do have Groudon, that one spot in the S tier, but then we don't have anything from 40 to 75. But then this is where it gets very, very interesting. We have 6 $20 to $40 illustration rares and 8 freaking $10 plus C tier illustration rares. That literally means we have 25 illustration rares in Paradox Rift that are worth at least $10. There's only 34 illustration rares total. 2/3 of them, 25 of them, are worth twice the price a pack at bare minimum. That is important, and that we are going to touch back on later at the end of this video. Temporal Forces, Goose Egg for the S tier. Only one, ghastly, right? But then we do have a generous amount of $10 to $40 cards in Temporal Forces, especially because it's a set that only has 22 and it's not a Kanto set. But there you go, you have 13 Temporal Force illustration rares worth at least $10. That ain't bad. And again, that's a Goose Egg for the $5 and under. Okay, for the rest of this, I'm gonna go away. Shwoop. Okay, so Twilight Masquerade, obviously we have taking that #1 spot in the S tier. Nothing in A tier. And this is where things get really interesting, because these are the much newer sets, essentially. And you can see we're going to start seeing a lot more F tier IRs from this point forward. So we have Eevee, then we have Blank for A tier, 5 and 5 for B and C tier, so 10 total Twilight Gatorade illustration rares between $10 and $40. 2 in the 5 to 10, and then there you go. Look at that. 6. Not 1, but 6. $5, under $5. Not even $5 and under. That's actually, it says 5 and under. That was a typo. That should say under $5 on that list up there in the upper right-hand corner. So there are literally 6 Twilight Masquerade illustration rares that you can still get for under $5. Shrouded Fable. Here we go, guys. This is a specialty set that proved that you can do illustration rares correctly within a specialty set. Even when you totally screw up and make the set way too small. Shrouded Fable has 15 IRs. And look at A, B, and C tier. Literally 13 of its 15 IRs are worth at least $10, including 3. 3? Wait, is that right? Is it? I don't even believe I just did this, and I am already having trouble. Yeah, 3 illustration rares I'm not kidding. I literally just did this, right? And even I'm like caught off guard that Shrouded Fable apparently has 3 illustration rares over $40. Literally caught off guard by my own graph. Okay, so there you go. Shrouded Fable, that's kind of shocking to be honest, especially for such a small specialty set. Stellar Crown, we have two A tiers. We all know what those two are. And then nothing in B tier. And then go all the way to F tier. We have 3 Stellar Crown cards under $4.99. Surging Sparks, this is kind of a shocking one to me. Nothing in S tier. Only Latios for A tier. Only Cerulege for B tier. And then look at that. 10, 4, and 7. Surging freaking Sparks literally has 7 illustration rares under $4.99. 7 of them, and they're all good. It's probably the best illustration rare gallery overall when you just look at artworks and just kind of, in my opinion, at least for the medium-sized sets. All right, so we're gonna go back over here real quick. So Surging Sparks, as you can see, kind of shocking. Paldea Evolved, not very surprising. And then, you know, you kind of, depending, like Paradox Rift, I would say also not very surprising. I actually thought Paradox Rift would be a little closer to SV 151, but when you take into account that literally every single Scarlet and Violet 151 illustration rare is worth at least $10, and most of them are 20. Yeah, no, and there's a lot of 40. All I'm saying is the top 5, the singular most shocking thing I would say from my perspective is that Shrouded Fable is in the top 4, just right behind Paldea, and right behind Scarlet and Violet 151, and right behind Paradox Rift. And then also, given how much I love the Surging Sparks illustration rare gallery, very, very shocked to see that Surging Sparks, at least its 10 most valuable illustration rares, are worth less than the Stellar Crown 10 most valuable illustration rares. Pause. We all know a majority of that value is the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur, but still. Okay, now I'm going to give you guys 10 takeaways I have after kind of looking at both these graphs here. So, takeaway number 1 is size does matter. Hits per rarity tier greatly helps overall value for the upper end cards that people desire in that set. Danny Phantom was right. Danny Phantom and myself, but I'm not very popular and no one watched me a year and a half ago, whereas Danny Phantom is very popular and everyone watched Danny Phantom a year and a half ago. So I will say this, Danny Phantom has been saying hits per rarity tier matters for a year and a half. A very long time. And if you look at the statistics, and you see 2 of the top 3 sets in IR value are the 2 biggest sets by far in the era, Paldea and Paradox. There you go. And yes, we've had enough time for these things to pan out. Okay, so size really does matter at the end of the day. Danny Phantom was right. That is takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2. Popular Pokemon have increased value regardless of set size. If it's a popular illustration rare Pokemon on an illustration rare, it does not matter what set it's from, it'll still be worth a lot of money. Case in point, Ifye from Twilight Gatorade. Takeaway number 3. Newer illustration rare galleries have very notable lack in value compared to older sets. Is this a scenario where illustration rares just get better with age, or is this related to print quality and like pop reports? A lot of people are aware of this, but early on in the Scarlet and Violet era, the print quality was a doo-doo, okay? So it could just be that it is way harder to get a 10 on these older sets, and that is why they have so much more money. Or it could just be people don't value IRs on release the way they should, and it takes 6 months or it takes a year, it takes a year and a half for the, you know, the interest to really kick in or something. All I know is the 3 least valuable top 10 sets per illustration rares are like the 3 newest sets with illustration rares. So there's that. Takeaway number 4. Shrouded Fable proves IRs can do very well within specialty sets when done correctly. Paldean Fates, 3 IRs, still 1 in 12, did not do it correctly. That is why their entire landfills full of Pawmi, Wugtrio, and hopefully not Palafin, because he's actually worth $3 now somehow, but that's a thing. So, Shrouded Fable does prove illustration rares can go over very well in a specialty set. Absolutely, that is the one absolute good thing about Shrouded Fable, aka Shredded Fumble. Takeaway number 5. Surging Sparks illustration rare gallery feels vastly undervalued. Is it just me, or when you look at this here list right here, make me go away again, it's literally 7 illustration rares? Are you kidding me? Under $5? Only 10? Like that are over? Like, what is this? And you go over here, $181, not even $200 for the top 10 best Surging Sparks illustration rares. That was a surprise to me. Oh, here we go again. Number 6, Paldea Evolved and Scarlet and Violet 151 each have 10 IRs over $20. Scarlet and Violet 151, Paldea Evolved have a lot of upper end illustration rares, straight up. Whereas second point, number 7 takeaway, Paradox Rift has 25 illustration rares over $10. 2/3 of that entire gallery is worth a bare minimum of $10. So it may not have the upper echelon mega value like Paldea and 151, but it has a ton of mid-tier value, a ton of B and C tier illustration rares. Last takeaway, Paldea and Paradox, and then followed by Shrouded Fable, but more specifically, Paldea Evolved and Paradox Rift have the best cost per pack to per IR value. Let's put it that way. The cost, it will set you back for a Paldea pack or a Paradox Rift pack versus the potential IR that you were going to pull. There is more likely, given spend money, receive IR, luckily in the pack, there is a greater chance that you will pull a valuable illustration rare from Paldea or Paradox, and then Shrouded Fable, and then 151, because the price per pack is double those 3 essentially. Those are your 3 best. Like, if all you want to do is spend $20 on some packs and hope to pull one IR that's worth something, you should absolutely open Paldea Evolved, Paradox Rift, or Shrouded Fable. In this market, you have a very high likelihood, if you do pull an IR, of pulling a valuable one from specifically those 3 sets. And if you are trying to get that same form of lucky, but you open Surging Sparks, you're probably, you might pull an IR, but there is a greater than likely chance that it ain't worth anything. And, if you're like me and you like all IRs regardless of the price, and that's treated you very well over the last couple of years, you don't really care. You just want to pull an IR, and that's all that matters. Yes, I pulled an IR. Thank God. It doesn't even matter if it's worth anything. Thank God I just pulled one, right? Well, if value matters just a little more to you, then maybe spend your money on Paldea packs, Paradox packs, Shrouded Fable packs. Let's go ahead and look back at this. So Temporal Forces is right there too. Temporal Forces pretty solid. SV base, we already know about the plethora of grading plays because there is some insane PSA 10 flip value with those SV bases. But as you can see, Stellar Crown, Twilight Masquerade, Surging Sparks, they have some top-end value on some very specific cards, and then everything just kind of falls off a cliff. Yeah. That's all I got. I just wanted to make an informative, just in case you were wondering, even though you probably weren't, illustration rare video. And by the way, I did just hit 6,000 subscribers. I'm going to do a limited 1-of-1 Derpy Q giveaway, a 6K Derpy Q on Friday, hottest cards of the week. And I have 2 Derpy Q winners to announce. I will also do that. I'm going to get it all done on hottest cards of the week this Friday. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Deuces.